There's what the business values, which might be intellectual property, it might be high-value data, it might be defined by outside pressures like regulation. If you're in HIPAA high tech, it's PII, it might be certain types of data. And then from a security perspective, which you started to allude to a bit, is what is critical for the business to operate. Your crown jewels might not be defined by data, but might be defined by a critical system or capability that is absolutely critical for your business running. What critical systems are you trying to protect on top of the assets that the business defines? And a great way to start, if they don't know, is to start with your CFO, who is charged with protecting the assets of the company.
I also want to emphasize that when you put together what's important to you in a data classification policy, it has to be a living document that is agreed upon by stakeholders at the company. You don't just write this on your own in a silo, right? Once it's agreed on, and then you can use that as a next step.
So Wellforce, we actually have a score. We score every asset according to, it's a 0 to 11,602. That basically takes into account data and every other possible thing you could think of to come to a score. We put it all on a spectrum. We actually protect according to confidence thresholds that we think we need to hit for certain assets. It's a beautiful algorithm. But the thing that I think we commonly lose in this conversation about like criticalities is all focused on data. Like data. Data is the critical asset. I would argue, like, depending on the industry you're in, I think most modern like utilities might fall in this category, hospitals certain do, is that data is not the most critical asset. Like business, money-making functions of a business probably is one, which may not involve any data. Number two, life-saving equipment, which involves just a little teeny part of data, is probably way the hell more important than that. So if I applied a data classification scheme to say, oh, number of records by criticality of records, I'd probably miss the most important things. And then I guess the other side of it I'd put out there, and I guess I'm a special snowflake, so not everybody in my room is like mine. But I would say like the most critical asset is probably the one that if it gets compromised can lead to the most damage. And I'm not sure that's the one that has the most data on it.
Are you recommending then, based on the priority of the asset or thing, that determines the level of zero trust application?
I'd say it's the ancillary access a thing has to other things. Like it's not necessarily an asset focus, but if you look at the attack patterns focused on your industry that are most likely to hurt you and how it's going to happen, and you map those attack patterns back to the assets they compromise, and you look at how you look against those things, you might have a different impression on how your asset criticality matters. That's all. And I do think zero trust is great because it focuses on abstracting all of those things and making them a little different and putting controls that make sense on those layers. But, simply using the old formula of, oh, it's PHI, so therefore it's critical, it doesn't work.